Howdy, lieutenants and economists.
The most volatile, evil, disgusting things on the planet, humans. If you have a video request, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com.
Yeah, I am gonna charge you, kids. And that is the importance of not fucking up.
You are such an asshole!
assholeconsulting.com. You got a question about something, anything. As long as you have money and are willing to give it to me, I will answer it in a blunt, direct, truthful, curse-laden manner. Hey asshole, I love your videos. Thanks for all your great work. Over the last couple of years, I have successfully deprogrammed myself from being a leftist. Thanks to great work of guys like you, and am now totally libertarian, even anarcho-capitalist. Don't fucking go complete douche the other way, okay? I know it seems dramatic and exciting to be an anarcho-capitalist, okay? Please study history. Please. Don't be one of those guys wearing a trench coat going, like, yeah, man, like, I'm an anarcho. Please, look up what I have a video. High school Marxists and anarchist douchebags, or something like that. Look it up. I have a question on economics, though, that I would like you to help me understand. When they talk of the economy, leftists always talk about it being a certain size pie, and to make any profit necessary means that you are taking money from someone else. Well, they're fucking wrong. And that's not an opinion, they're just wrong. On the other hand, right-wingers, I heard Bill Whittle say this, say that the pie is not a fixed size, and that people create new wealth, and when they do, they are not taking wealth away from anyone else. Instead, they are growing the economy and creating wealth that was not there before. They use this to rebut the leftist idea that profit is taking away from someone else. Now, libertarians and anarcho-capitalists talk about how bad inflation is, and they talk about how good Bitcoin would be as a currency because it can't be inflated past the set limit of total value. Yes, that is correct. So when people talk about creating wealth, aren't they necessarily also talking about inflation, which is bad? No, they are not, and I'll explain that later. Start to wonder if there might be a difference in printing money when it reflects a growth in goods and services in the economy, and just printing money when there's no extra value in the economy for it to represent, which would then just dilute the value of money, which is bad. Spot on, kid. That's the brain. That's the thinking that we need, you dumb fuck. Well, not dumb fuck, because in this case you're displaying real intelligence. But I'm going to say it anyway. You dumb fuck college kids. That's exactly the type of thinking. Now you're getting somewhere. But that is me just trying to square this circle in my head. I have really no idea. You're 100% accurate. You got it. Can you explain how all this works to me, and what would you consider morally more or less desirable? If you don't mind, if you could just do an email or do a vid and blah blah blah. Thank you, Rob. Well, thank you for the email, Robert. All right, you got two questions here. One, is there a fixed pie, and then help me figure out this inflation thing. All right, the Democrats, the leftists, are wrong, and I don't even think most Democrats are wrong. Most Democrats don't believe in the fixed pie thing, but in college I can understand where you're running into not only the dumbest but the most misled people, so they're adamant about it. If the economy never grew, if the pie never grew, if there was no economic production, then we would have what? Caveman days. The first economy would have been sticks and rocks. That's what it would have been. And then Mog and Thag and Uktak would drag the rocks and sticks and club women over the head and drag them back to the caves. That's what it would have been. Maybe there would have been some saber-tooth meat in there for this economy of rocks, sticks, and saber-tooth meat. But that would be it. Because the economy, that pie never grows. So, I mean, it's just so stupid. It's just so dumb. This is why I don't even debate or argue with leftists, because if you debate with them, you unintentionally give them this credence or credibility of having some semblance of intelligence or common sense or logic. And if you're arguing with leftists to say, well, the pie is the same and it doesn't grow, well, then it never grew. Okay, and cars never exist. It's just a figment of our imagination. And advances in technology, making computers dirt cheap and so forth. None of these things ever were creative out of it. No. There's no creation. The pie remains the same. We're just deluded. When we eat food, that's us eating rocks and sticks. We just don't know it. Because because the Illuminati is sprayed drugs. Which are not, because drugs don't exist either. None of this shit was invented. So it's just so fucking... It's not an argument. What it is, it's an empirical evidence and an example of just how fucking far gone and pathetically and woefully ignorant and not uneducated, but miseducated these people are. So show them this fucking video so they wake the fuck up. This is not, there's no more time for this. Well, it's just my opinion and I just feel, take your fucking AP economics course and shove it up your fucking ass, you moron. I mean, if you're arguing with these type of people, there's no arguing or debating with them. It's insulting and mocking and ridiculing them that's going to wake them the fuck up. All right, so we've dealt with the piece of the pie. The pie never grows kind of bullshit. Now, the next question is you're trying to figure out, well, wait a minute. If it's the amount of stuff, if we just print off more money and there's not a commensurate increase in the amount of stuff that we're producing in the economy, isn't that kind of bad? Doesn't that dilute the money? And you're absolutely right. Now, I'm going to put a video link down below that describes it visually, very clearly, where I take some fake currency and some Andes mints, but let me just explain it to you here. Economics, you shouldn't even be learning about money in economics. That should come in later. Money should not even be addressed because it merely confuses the issue of what economics is. Economics is all about stuff. It's about stuff. This coffee, this cell phone, the shaving cream I put in my hair, this shirt. It's all about stuff. And the reason why is you cannot eat money. What can you do with money? There's very few things, not buying stuff, aside from buying stuff, what can you do with money? You can't eat it. Maybe you can burn it. In former communist countries, you could use it for wallpaper. In the Weimar Republic, they actually did use it for burning and keeping things warm because it was worth, as Zimbabwe it's worth. What can you really do with money? Right? Not much. So what you realize is that economics is about producing goods and services, things that maintain, enhance, and extend your life. Maintain your life, food, water, clothing, shelter. You need it to stay alive. Enhance, video games, books, movies, things that are fun that you enjoy. It enhances, it increases the quality of your life. And extends healthy food, drugs, surgeries, all the goods and services out there that will help you live as long as possible. So to stay alive, live as long as possible, and have as quality of life as possible. That is what economics is about. How can we get our economy to produce the most amount of stuff that increases everybody's life and quality of living? That's economics. And when you look at money, it functionally, I know it does other things, but it functionally doesn't do any of those three things. If you're starving, maybe you can eat money. Otherwise, you can. If times are really bad and you're burning money, you're not going to live that long anyway. So money plays a completely different role. So what the focus of economics should be on is the production of stuff. How do we produce as much motherfucking stuff as possible to make us as rich motherfuckers as possible? Now, once you understand that about economics, now add money. Here is where you find out the role that money plays. Money does not really help us produce stuff. Money is not stuff or services. But money is a tool by which we transact stuff. All right? You're going to go to college for whatever reason and become an accountant. I'm going to go to school to become a plumber. And Amy's going to go to school to become a computer programmer. Now, if we could all live on plumbing, accounting, and computer programming, that would be great. But all three of us cannot live on that. There is thousands, millions of items and stuff and services that we need. We need electricity. We need food. We need electrical engineers. We need farmers. We need all this shit. We need all this stuff. And so thank God there's billions of people who specialize in different things. But it is impossible to trade our specific services and products directly to people. Because I was the plumber. Well, not everybody needs plumbing every day. I can't go to the farmer and say, hey, do you need plumbing? He's like, fuck, Clary, you were just here 2 weeks ago. You fixed my plumbing. I don't need any more plumbing. Well, I'm going to starve unless I get food. So now I got to go find another farmer. And not only mention that, I need a new roof. Now I got to go find a roofer. So there's this not double coincidence of wants that allows what's called barter. So to get around that, and this is why everyone wonders, like, well, is money consciously formed? No, money arises as a natural phenomenon because it has to. It absolutely has to. If you didn't have a government forcing it, money will arise. It will form naturally 100% of the time. So different forms of money have formed in the past: gold, silver, salt, clams, shells. What else? Booze, cigarettes, sex. Money it forms. Well, okay, not for women. Women can women have their own money printing facilities. Women have their own mint. It's called the vajayjay, and they can literally just print off all their own money. They can. They're just like the Federal Reserve. It's true. It's so true. Anyway, so throughout history, and you can look this up through the history of money, there's plenty of things on it, different forms of currency have formed. And what that allows us to do is say, okay, we all like silver, we all like gold, or we can all use salt. And it is measurable, it is divisible, everybody wants it, it's universally accepted. It has all these qualities and traits that start making it money. And then since it's divisible, we can measure it in units, and then we could start to get pricing. And I say, okay, I'm going to go plumb for 8 pounds of salt, and that 8 pounds of salt given to me by computer programmer Sue is going to allow me to buy some food from Farmer Joe, some accounting from you, and for different, for 1 pound, 8 ounces of salt, etc., etc. Now, of course, we have dollars and silver and gold and won and yen, but you start to see how this forms. Now, ideally, well, let me not get ahead of myself. Now, what has happened is, in the olden days, money had to have some kind of intrinsic value. It had to have value unto itself. Salt stores meats well. Gold and silver are precious metals. So stuff like that. So they had intrinsic value. But, without going into too much of detail, government said, well, we got to mine this, we got to print it off, and there's trillions of dollars, there's not enough silver or gold to go around. We're going to print off money. Not to mention gold and silver is kind of heavy, so you can do papers and stuff like that. And now we can even say that it's digital. I mean, how many dollar bill, what percentage of your transactions do you even use with dollars? Now it's all online. So we start printing off paper currency. This is called fiat currency. There is no intrinsic value to it. We use it simply because we use it. All right? There is a flaw there, but it still functionally has been working for quite some time. So now the supply of money is no longer controlled by the supply of silver or gold or sand or salt, or not sand, or shells or sex. It is controlled by central banks and the printing press. Now throughout history you have seen this, where we just print off more money. Yay Zimbabwe, yay Yugoslavia 1993-1994, yay Weimar Republic, yay Venezuela, just print more money, because that's what fucking idiots do. You say, well, if it was that simple, wouldn't it work? I mean, wouldn't everyone have done it, print off more money? But here's the problem. If you just print off more money, you don't increase the amount of stuff. Again, you can't eat money. Money is a tool by which we transact the stuff. It is the stuff that is the most important thing. It is the services that is the most important thing, because that is what increases, enhances, and extends your life. Money itself does not. It is a means by which to get stuff, to transact stuff, to exchange stuff. So when governments just print off more money, or I remember, I had my fucking goddamn economics teacher say, well, I don't know exactly why we can't print off more money, but I just know we can't. I'm like, that was the fucking economics teacher in high school. Way to fucking go, public schools. Fuck you. So you can't just print off more money because it doesn't increase the amount of stuff. Actually, what it does is it throws off prices. It warps prices. Because some people get the money right off the bat. Typically government connections and cronies and banks. So they go buy, boats, cars, expensive sushi dinners. And inevitably that money starts to inflate and permeate into the rest of the economy. Increasing prices, but not increasing the amount of stuff. And unless you're one of the first people to get that money, all of a sudden now things are twice as expensive and you never got that extra money, and now your money is worth half of what it used to be. So that is why inflation is bad. And if you have big price swings like that, it can throw off the economy. Now people have to recalculate. Now investments that were profitable are no longer profitable. Now plants are shutting down. Now people are getting laid off. And the real economy, meaning the engines that actually produce the stuff and the services, actually shut down. And then you go into a real recession. So that is why you just can't print off more money. Now we do that. We're doing that right now. And we're getting by on the fact that the economy is so erotic, so slothful, and no one's making a lot of investment because you have Obama and the Democrats and the socialists in charge. Look, it's called the velocity of money. I don't mean to introduce another concept. People don't have a lot of faith in money, so people aren't re-spending these same dollars. They're actually just kind of sitting in banks' vaults, and then banks are going and buying marketable securities with it. So it does go into the productive economy. It kind of sits in the financial markets. So it is happening, but it hasn't permeated into, quote, the price of a gallon of milk or a price of a gallon of gas. It's just, notice that stock prices have gone up a lot without an increase in the earnings. Price of property has gone up without an increase in rents. So that's where your inflation is taking place in those sectors of the economy. But it's proof as to why you just can't print off more money. None of this, it doesn't result in an increase of the amount of goods and services and stuff that we produce. So hopefully you learn a lot here. Hopefully, and I guarantee you've learned more than the past 3 courses of economics. This is why Adam Smith wrote the book called The Wealth of Nations, because the wealth was the stuff. It's not the money of nations. Just printing off money doesn't do jack shit. If anything, it harms things. It's all about how much stuff can we produce, how much new and better and improved stuff can we produce, how much cheaper can we make the current stuff that we're producing, how much cheaper can we make in lowering costs of production, and how much completely new shit and stuff can we come up with, like cell phones and jet cars and all that other stuff. So that's it. It's you're down the path. Economics is the way to go down the path of getting rid of the mental illness that is known as socialism and leftism and being a Democrat. It's just so it's simple. It's simple shit. It's common sense. And you asking these questions shows you're on the right path. So anyway, go ahead, show this video to a bunch of your friends in college. You won't get laid, I guarantee you, and all your friends will abandon you. But they'll say, hey, when you're 40 like me, they'll say, hey, you know what? You were right back in the 90s. And it so totally won't be worth it. Lie your ass off to get pussy. Whatever, you're a Democrat. Whatever you got to tell them, yes. Oh, yeah, totally with Hillary Clinton. Yeah, Bernie Sanders even. Yeah, okay, whatever. Suck my penis. That's the advice from the old captain. Toodles.